thank the grace of heaven, the virtues of the masters, and the mercy of the grand predecessors, transmitters, temple masters, to give me this opportunity to talk about the discussion, the topic for this class, today's class, which is basically, it's called the fundamentals, right, or the essentials or fundamentals of Buddha nature. So, or Tathagata Garbha. Tathagata Garbha. That's the Sanskrit term. Okay, that's what Buddha. That's another term for Buddha nature. Okay. All right. So there. These terminologies, a lot of these terms are found throughout, the Buddha scriptures, sutras, and other I won't say sutras, but like other books, like the book of the Way and the Virtue, or the book of the four books, etc. Okay, so I mean we don't have all the four books terms in here yet, but we have some, and but they're all talking about the same thing. All right, and now because a lot of times. In terms of the terminologies, there are multiple meanings, and that's where the difficulty lies. There is what we call a standard, basic level of definition or of understanding of the terminology, and then there is a more advanced level. Okay, so when we say the advanced level, that's what we talk about the Buddha nature, because. Now, specifically in Buddha's dharmas, on the surface, right? If you just read, let's say, the first. Well, it's not a sutra, but it's what's it called, the Dharma Kakra Pravantana, which is. Literally means the setting in motion the wheel of Dharma sutta. It's called sutta, which is not a sutra because sutta just means a discourse. Sutra means it's a long verse. Okay, sutta means short version, like a short verse. Okay, or short discussion, if you will. And so it's better known as the Eightfold Paths. It's explained in there. So, on the surface, the Eightfold Paths is very straightforward. It just talks about how we have to have a proper view, right? Proper view, proper understanding, okay? Proper thoughts. Let's see, what else? Proper view, proper thoughts. It's in here. It's in proper intentions, proper speech, proper actions. Proper efforts, proper livelihood, proper efforts, proper mindfulness, proper concentration, or samadhi. So it seems very basic that those are paths, but there's really a higher meaning beyond that. Okay, so that's an example. Okay, I mean that's an example, and I'll touch upon it. One of them today, which is the number 6, number 7, proper mindfulness. So, but I'll touch upon, but I won't touch upon it now. I'm going to go to the page 5. Go to page 5 because I left off from last month, before the Dharma class, like 3 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. I left off and what we call the 5 cardinal sins. That's the 5 cardinal sins, right? I talked about that, right? We all know. I mean, these are like part of the agamas. You know the agamas, right? Agama is what Buddha talk about precepts. It's called precepts. It means taboos. It means it's like similarly to like the Western biblical equivalent of the Ten Commandments. It's like that. It's like that. Okay, it's not exactly the same, but it's similar. Okay, it's like that. These are called precepts. Means what? Rules. You can say rules or things that we should or should not do. Right. So in this case, it's called the 5 cardinal sins, right? And we talked about that last time, right? I talked about the first half part, which is we know, from the Buddha's view, right? From the Buddha's point of view, he said the 5 cardinal sins are: you should not kill your father, you should not kill your mother, you should not kill an arhat, right? You should not cause discord within the sangha, right? The sangha, or the community of cultivators, and you should not shed the blood of a Buddha, of an enlightened being, basically. Okay, so that's the external. That's what the 5 cardinal sins are, and it's cardinal because if you commit any of these sins, any of these what we call taboo sins, no-nos, according to the Buddhist tradition, at least on the therapeutic side, it's basically you will end up in Avicii hell. Right? We will end up in Avicii hell. Avicii hell, right? You know what Avicii hell is, right?
The lowest.
That's the bottom level, level 18, or whatever level. I don't know what level is of hell. Avicii, A-V-I-C-I, right? Avicii is A-V-I-C-I, yeah, A-V-I-C-I. It just means it's the worst, the worst punishment. That's all I mean.
Endless.
Yeah, endless suffering supposedly. I mean, but it's not forever.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, it's a certain time. I mean, still everything's limited. But anyway, even hell is not eternal. By the way, because right, hell, just like the celestial heavens, are not eternal. People don't understand that. Okay, because what's eternal is what Buddha called nirvana, or 究竟, right? 究竟界, you can say nirvana or 极境界, whatever, 极境, 极灭, whatever, those terminal. It's in here too. It's in page 12, okay? Page 11, page 12. You guys can look it up, okay? But I don't want to go into that right now. I want to talk about number 5, finish number 5. Okay, so externally, so that's on the surface, on the basic level, that's what it means. Those 5 taboos, 5 wrong things that we should not commit, right? 5 cardinal sins, okay? All right, but at a higher level, so that's at the basic level. Okay? So that's pretty straightforward. But at a higher level, at a more advanced level, what we call advancement or Buddha nature level, it's internal. They are what we call the elimination of, first, patricide is equivalent will be what? The ignorance side. We have to get rid of our ignorance, right? Okay, get rid of our ignorance, all right? Remember the 3 poisons, right? The 3 poisons, I mean, that's also in here. It's in page 1, okay? Anyway, so we have to get rid of our ignorance. Ignorance meaning what? That we're ignorant, or we don't know about the true condition of life, or the true human condition, right? Remember the 4 noble truths, right? From the Eightfold Paths. The first path, right? We can call it first path, which is proper view, proper understanding, right? And within that proper view, proper understanding is the recognition of the 4 noble truths, right? And which the first noble truth is, right? Dukkha. Life is dukkha, right? Means suffering. It's a sea of suffering. Right? Second noble truth is the cause of that suffering, right? It's due to desires, etc. Okay? Desires, etc. All right? And ignorance. It really starts with ignorance. I mean, if you really want to be technical about it. Desires is only, you can say it's a result of that ignorance, or a manifestation of that ignorance. Okay? A display of that ignorance. Among others. I mean, desires is one of them. Passions, greed, all that, okay? All right? And then the third noble truth is what? That there is a way to extinguish or to get rid of all those, you can say, desires, greed, ignorance included, all right? 3 poisons, etc. And that's called nirvana, or that state. There's a state. I don't say there's a way. There's a state. There's a level. There's a level. There's a level that we can attain where all those desires, ignorance, greed, etc. will be eliminated or are not there. Okay, that's a state. It's called nirvana. And then the 4th noble truth is that there's a path. There's a way. That's the how. The how to get to nirvana. Nirvana, you can say, is the where if you want to. Right? The 2nd noble truth is the why. Why do we have suffering? It's because of that. And then the first one is the what. Right? The condition, the human condition. What is human condition? according to Buddha, it's suffering. It's suffering. Okay, people don't realize that. Okay, see, so that's ignorance. That's from Buddha's view. That's called ignorance. People say, hey, I'm enjoying life. I may not be rich, the super rich. I may not be the top 1%er, but I'm in the middle class. I enjoy. I have a good family. I have a good house. I have a good job. I have all that stuff. I eat good food. Blah, 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 I'm healthy. Blah blah blah. So they all look positive. I mean, that's true. But that's only partially true, right? You could ask, will you ever get sick? Of course you're going to get sick. I don't care how healthy you are. One day you're going to get sick. Second question, will you get old? Of course you're going to get old. One day you're going to get old. And then we're going to get old, right? Of course, right? So from a Buddhist perspective, even though we may find ourselves that, we're in a very ideal condition or, situation, but the question is, that does not last, right? And that's the anicca part, which I'll get to later. That's the anicca, right? Anicca means what? Doesn't last. Nothing lasts. Yeah, impermanence. Yeah, okay, impermanence, right? So that's from Buddha's view. That's anicca. That's what anicca, and that's why life is dukkha, because it doesn't last. You're not going to be forever healthy. You're not going to be forever happy. That's ups and downs of life, right? The 8 winds, all that stuff. Okay, but anyway, all right. So that's why Buddha, from a Buddhist perspective, that's called ignorance. Okay, as a matter of fact, there's another terminology here where we call the four. It's called the four 四颠倒, page 3, right? The 4 inverted views or wrong views with regards to what is really impermanent to be permanent, what is really suffering to be joy, what is not a self to be a self, and what is impure to be pure. Okay, all right. That there's the 4 foundations too, but that we don't need to talk about that. Okay, that's called the 4 inverted views. All right. So from a Buddhist perspective, we humans are like that. So we think, good times are here. It's gonna last. Wrong. We think it's gonna be permanent. It's not permanent. We think we're gonna be healthy forever. Wrong. We think we're gonna live forever. Wrong. Right? Whatever. Okay. All the conditions. That's wrong. So that's impermanent. And what we think is, what we take to be suffering, we take it as happiness, as joy, right? We think, we're enjoying life. Yeah, it's okay. That's the human condition. We know we're going to get old. We know we're going to get sick, but that's okay. Enjoy your life, right? That, from a Buddhist perspective, that's inverted. Get it? Okay, that's inverted, all right? Okay, because that's going with the flow. That's the 四潮流 later. But that's another terminology. Okay, that's on the previous page, but that's okay. Okay, all right. And then what is we say? We have a self, but I'll talk about that later. That's the atta, atma. Yeah, atma. We think that we have we have a self. In others, an ego. You can say an ego, a conscious self that is eternal, that is always there. That's wrong too. That's misleading too. That's part of the 5 skandhas, really. But then that's another terminology we added up. But see, everything's interrelated. So anyway, so it just goes over. But I don't want to talk about that now because we already talked about the 5 skandhas. All right. So that's the 4. And then what is impure to be pure? Okay. So that means our body. They think that our body. So that's what the 4 inverted views are. Now, to go back to the 5 cardinal sins. Number 2 is we have to eliminate. So that's number 1. That's ignorance, right? We have to eliminate that. Okay. So number 2, this is page 5, right? No, yeah, page 5. No, and near the middle, top half. And then the second one is we have to instead of matricide or which is the external part, we have to get rid of our desires or passions. You get it? Right? We have to get rid of it. Okay, we have to get rid of it. That's the higher level meaning. Okay, so that's what it means. See, so these are all pretty much internal side, right? The internal. That's why I say internally they are the elimination of ignorance. And then that's one. Two is desires or passions. And number three is the ego or self. Okay? Remember I talked about the four inverted views? Right, that's that. We consider that we have an ego. That's our true self. That's really only the five skandhas.
有多少
Okay?
人呢？
Okay? Okay? So that's the ego, okay? And the reason why the ego is bad from Buddha's view is because why? Why is it bad? Why is it wrong? I mean, not to say bad. It's bad too, but it's wrong. Why is it the wrong view? Inverted view. Because once we have egos, we have what? Differentiation. It becomes my view versus your view. This is mine, that's yours. You get it? So we have separation. So then that's how we have discrimination. Differentiation leads to discrimination, etc., etc. Right? Right? My idea, my ideology is right. You're all infidels. You're all going to go to hell because your view is wrong. That's what it leads to. Right? That's the ultimate logical extension, right, of the ego. You get it? Okay? That's why Buddha say that's a wrong view. Because from a Buddha's perspective, all of us really, ego is just a manifestation. So it's still part of our five skandhas. It's the fifth, third, and fifth, fourth, and third. But it doesn't matter. But the ego, because ego is not eternal. Because let me ask you, before you're born, where's your ego? Where's your ego? And after we die, where's the ego? See, that's the problem. We have no answer. We don't know that. But from a Buddha's perspective, he says, it's not your ego, it's the Buddha nature. You call it a soul. I mean, the Western, would call it a soul, a spirit. It's not 100% accurate, but that's okay. But for our purposes, you can say that. That's everlasting. The key difference is this. Ask ourselves, what is it that is not born or does not die? That's the question. That's the question. So what is it? What is that thing that is not born and does not die? Whoa, what is that? It's not the ego. Yeah, so it's our Buddha nature. That's the Buddha. Some people call it the soul, the spirit. It's not 100% accurate, but that's okay. That's okay. But that's okay. But it's basically our true nature, our Buddha nature. So from a Buddha's perspective, it's not the ego that's permanent, but rather it's that Buddha nature. Understand? Okay, so that's why the number 3 is this. We have to eliminate the Buddha nature. Eliminate the ego. Sorry, the Atman. Okay, the Atman. Okay, all right. Makes sense? Because Buddha nature is always there. It's always there. As a matter of fact, how Buddha would explain it, people might say, well, is the ego false? Depends. It's false in the sense that it's not everlasting. That's true. But does it exist? See, that's a different question, right? Whether or not it's false and whether or not it exists are two different, you can say different sides of the same coin. You can say that. But it does exist. Get it? Egos do exist. It's not that Buddha is not denying that egos don't exist. No, okay? Buddha is not saying that. Buddha says ego does exist. Yes, that is true. But that's wrong. That's not, if you take your ego to be the permanent self, then that's the wrong view. Understand? Okay? Because egos do have a beginning and end. Okay? All right? Egos. Make sense? Okay? But it's your Buddha nature that's the permanent self, the true self. Understand? Okay? So it's not the ego. All right? But egos do exist. But egos, if we go down the path of concerning, right? What's not the true self. Remember the ego, right? Remember the 4 inverted views. Not the true self, that is the ego, to be the true self. It will lead us to the wrong path, i.e. what? We have differentiation, right? We have separation, etc., right? So that's why Buddha said that's the wrong inverted view. Make sense? Okay, so all right, okay, okay, now let's go to the number 4. It's the coalescence of the 5 aggregates. Which means coalescence means just accumulation. Just mean accumulation. If we do not get rid of our desires, passions, ignorance, etc., we will end up accumulating what? Skandhas. You get it? Which is what? Desires, mental formations or thoughts, thoughts, action, intentions, attachments, volition, intentions, attachments, basically attachments, okay, attachments, and that's wrong because it's these attachments that lead us to what? Create karma. Get it? Because there is causality at work, okay? So it's the attachments, desires, three poisons, all that. They will create karma if we pursue those things. Make sense? If we pursue those, right? Those things that attract or tempt our six senses, our eyes, our ears, our smell, our sense of smell, our sense of taste, our sense of touch, or even our thoughts, ego, right? That becomes attachment. And then that, what? Because we're attached to forms, become attachment to forms. Make sense? And if we become attached to forms, then what's going to happen? We're no longer Buddhas. We are just lost. Okay? So that's why there's a phrase, which is another here in page, 12, 11, 10, 11 or 12. But don't worry about it. It's called Li Xiang Ming Fu, right? I added that term. That's from the Diamond Sutra. That's in chapter or section 14. You guys can look it up. We can look it up. We can look it up. Chapter 14. It's the shortened phrase. It's a shortened phrase of to reject all forms is called the Buddha. Okay, it's Li Yi Qie Zhu Xiang Ji Ming Zhu Fu. Okay, so it just means it's chapter 14 or called it's a shortened phrase. Okay, but what Buddha is saying is we have to transcend, go beyond forms. Otherwise, you're not a Buddha. It's plain and simple. And what is forms? Thoughts. Get it? Thoughts, desires, all that are forms. Ego, okay, all right, all that, okay? So we have to, okay, so that's why accumulation or coalescence of the five aggregates or skandhas, we have to get rid of that. We have to clear it, all right? Actually, there's an even higher level of how to do that. It's related to the 6 knots, but that's one method. 6 jie, 6 knots. It's also included in here, but that's okay. I don't want to go into it today. It's in the Surangama Sutra, okay, but that's okay. Okay? All right, so that's the more advanced level. Okay? All right. Then the fifth, what's the fifth? Self-reasoning by the 7 consciousness. Woo. Okay, which is it just means that we only rely on reasoning, on our mind, the 6th and 7th, particularly 7th, because the 6th is just the mind consciousness which controls, you can say, or consolidates our 5 senses, our 5 sense consciousness. Make sense? It's the 6th that controls it or that consolidates, and it's the 7th that has those deep thoughts or intentions or volitions. Make sense? Okay? Or cognition, or even awareness. Okay? It's the motivating source that drives our actions. So that's like, you can say that's where the intentions form, the will, right, comes from there. So Buddha was saying we cannot rely on that. We have to get rid of that 7. We have to because all that is still part of the 5 skandhas. As a matter of fact, it's related to number 4, but that's okay. But okay, so he said just say reasoning. So and the reason why that's false. Why is that false? Think about it. Remember I said that from the beginning? It says, what is a thought or what is something that has no birth and no end? Obviously, it's not our thoughts, because our thoughts has a beginning and end, right? A minute ago, I didn't have that thought. A minute in the future, another thought comes around. So the thoughts are constantly what? Appearing and disappearing, appearing and disappearing, appearing and disappearing, right? So obviously, it's not our 7th consciousness. That's not our true nature. That's not our essence. What is that essence? It's the background. It's in the background. That's the Buddha nature. It's the Buddha nature that allows us to have the 7th consciousness, the sixth consciousness, etc., etc. Okay, so that's why we have to understand that. All right, so that's called the five cardinal sins, both from the basic level, external, and a little bit more advanced. On the Buddha nature level, we call it the internal sides. And this is all in the Lankavatara Sutra. So you guys, we can look it up, okay, if you want. Okay, it's in the Lankavatara Sutra, which is not a well-known sutra, but that's okay. Okay, it's in there, all right? They talk about the eight consciousness and all that stuff, okay? So anyway, but it's in the Lankavatara Sutra. So you can look it up, okay? So that's what distinguishes us, what we call Buddha nature level versus basic level, right? Makes sense now? Basic level is just the external side. Yeah, just the basically definitions, essentially definitions, okay? Which is not wrong, and it's not wrong, but there's a higher level. So next time when we read all Buddha's teachings, right? Buddha will speak, yes, normally talking about, these things, the five cardinal sins, etc. So at the superficial level, yeah, he's teaching us, he's telling us, we should, not do bad things, right? And we should do good things, right? I mean, that's at the basic level. So that's no different than what Jesus would have said, or even Mohammed, or Confucius, or anybody, Lao Tzu. It's not much different, because they, on the surface, they all say, you should do good things, in essence, in general, okay? But hidden, you can say hidden, or subtle, that's something that's subtle in the background, there is another message that Buddha is trying to express. Okay? All right? And that's the higher level. Make sense? So when he's talking about the five cardinal sins, he's telling us that, not only should we not kill, right, father, mother, etc., but we should also what? Get rid of our ignorance. Get it? Get rid of our desires, our egos, skandhas, seventh consciousness, or mind consciousness. It makes sense? Okay? All right? Or mana consciousness. I think it's called mana consciousness. So that's the higher level. Because what his message is saying, it's not just our conscious thoughts. It's not our conscious thoughts that's true or everlasting, but rather that there is something else. There's an essence. There's that awareness. There is that Buddha nature, in other words. Make sense? So that's why when we read all Buddha scriptures, actually, when we read all Buddha scriptures, plus Confucius, 4 books, plus Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching, it's the same thing. It's all in there. It's hidden. There's a hidden. You can say it's hidden because it's beyond these words. Make sense now? So that's why we have these Buddha nature classes, is to help us get to that level. All right? So that's okay. So now I talked about. I don't have much time left, huh? Darn. Okay, so I thought now let's talk about. Remember, I talked about the 4. Let's go to page. Where is it? 四念处. Where is that? Page 3, page 4, page 3 or 4? Page 4, page 4, page 4, page 4. Yeah. The 4. It's below the 4 inverted views, right? Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So now, that's part of the Eightfold Paths, by the way. All right? This is part of the Eightfold Paths. Okay? That's the number 6. Number 6. Yeah, number 6. I think it's number 6. Number 6 of the Eightfold Paths. Number 7. Sorry, number 7. 6 is proper efforts. This is proper mindfulness. Okay, let me tell you a little story. So you can read what the proper mindfulness is. But let me before I jump into it, I think we talked about it before, right? I don't talk about this is the superficial meaning right here. Okay, that's in the definition. Before I jump into that, okay, into the 4 proper mindfulness, the reason why I brought it up is because it's very important, and it kind of encompasses all of Buddha's teachings too. But that's okay. But that, let me give you a little background story. All right, when Buddha was about to enter parinirvana. right? Parinirvana. You know what parinirvana? In Chinese, it's called 圆寂，圆寂，一个口，一个圆寂. That means to return, to go back to nirvana. That's literally what it means. Okay, literally what. So that's called parinirvana. I mean, actually that's a misnomer, but that's okay. But that's good. Okay, but that's okay. For our purposes, that's okay. All right. For now, anyway. Okay. Technically, because that's really incorrect. That's not the correct way of describing. We don't say you go back. But anyway, because he's already a Buddha, so that's what I meant. Okay. So when Siddhartha or Sakyamuni was about to, near his parinirvana, right? He told Ananda, Ananda, right? Ananda, his cousin. His cousin was still relatively young. It's probably still a teenager. Yeah, probably a teen at that point. Probably, maybe, no, not a teen. Probably early 20s. Early 20s, maybe? Yeah, early 20s. Yeah. Anyway, that he was about to, enter parinirvana. And so he was crying. Oh, he cried. He was like, oh, Buddha, you can't leave us. We still have so much to learn, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and then so Siddhartha's son, Rahula, that's the Sanskrit term name anyway. But I don't know, in Chinese is Lo He, that's right, Lo He, came upon Ananda, which is, I guess they're cousins, right? Yeah, because, anyway, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, doesn't matter. So, Ananda, why are you crying? Why are you crying? Oh, I'm crying because Buddha's gonna enter parinirvana. He's gonna be gone. And so Rahula said, why are you crying? It's useless. Don't cry. Doesn't matter. Don't cry. It doesn't help. But you know what? But make sure before Buddha enters parinirvana, ask him 4 things. Ask him 4 things because that's very important. We still have questions, right? We have to ask him 4 things. And what are the 4? He told Ananda to ask Siddhartha 4 things. Okay, so Siddhartha said, okay. Let me go ask Buddha. So the first question he asked Buddha was, okay, Buddha, after you enter parinirvana, who should lead the sangha? Yeah. Okay, so that's the first question. Second question. What 法，哪一个法要支持? What teaching, you can say teaching, dharma, should we uphold, should we grasp? Literally means grasp. Just to follow, means follow, what follow. And then the third question is, amongst the people in the sangha, if there are people who have issues of faith, who are not, who have that strong faith or belief, what should we do? Okay, so that's the third. And the fourth is at the beginning of all your sutras, mind you, not sutta. See, sutta, it's different. Okay, so sutra is only one of the 12 classifications of Buddha's teachings, but that's okay. That's okay. 112. Okay, 1 of 12. Okay, there's the Geta, Gatha, a whole bunch, but that's okay. The Vaipoya, the Nidanas, I forgot. There's so many. The Itivitakas, the Jatakas, etc., etc. Okay, that's okay. All right. Jataka means Buddha's stories about his previous life. Itivitaka are the Buddha's prophecies of his disciples' lives. That and all that. Okay, that doesn't matter. Okay, but so specifically on Buddha's teaching sutras, what words should I use to introduce it? Okay, so that's the 4 questions. Okay, so Buddha responded. Very interesting. You know how he responded to the first question? Remember, Ananda asked who, right? Who? Okay, WHO, who? Okay, so Buddha replied. You know what he said? Very interesting. But that's a higher level. He just said, follow the precepts. Huh? That's not a who. That's a what, right? What? So Buddha responded by saying, what? Okay, but that's a separate level. Okay, that's another story. That's another topic that I can. Okay, that's an important. But that's why. But you guys food for thought. Okay, that's fine. That's the first answer. Answer to the first question. Second answer. to the second question is, well, what Dharma, right, should we uphold? He mentioned. Very close. Yeah, the four mindfulness. Very interesting, huh? Four mindfulness. Very interesting. Why? I mean, of all the teachings, of all the doctrines, all the concepts that Buddha had spoken in the prior 49 years, right, of his life, he mentioned these, just the four mindfulness. Very interesting. Okay, never mind the third and the fourth. The third means, the third answer he said was to ignore them. Mo ji, I think mo ji. I think he said to ignore. That means to ignore, to disregard. Don't worry about that, okay? And then the fourth answer, thus I have heard. But that's it's in here too, but that's it's not very meaningful when you say thus I have heard. It's thus I have heard. There's a deeper meaning, but that's a separate topic for discussion. We can talk about it later. It'll probably take a couple hours, okay? But anyway, all right? So that's, okay, so those are the four answers. But then I want to zoom in on this number two. Number one, I hope that's your homework. You should understand why Buddha said, instead of who, he said what. He replied, okay? So you should also try to figure out yourself, okay? Why Buddha said that, okay? All right, and what it means, okay? But that's okay. That's also has something to do with Buddha nature, but that's okay. Hint. Everything's Buddha nature, but that's okay. All right. So, but then you got to make that connection. You got to make that connection. That's the key. Okay. So now let's zoom in on this. His second answer. Remember his second answer, right? To uphold the four mindfulness. Huh? So Ananda, he's still kind of young, kind of inexperienced. So he's not, he didn't understand. He just remembers that. So he reported. Okay, it doesn't matter. So let's look at the four mindfulness. Okay, the four foundation. Okay, mindfulness, four meditation. That and the three Dharma seals are included in here. By the way, okay, the three Dharma seals. Okay, the mind is impermanent, right? 观心无常, right? The second one, 观受是苦, right? Or all feelings or sensations are dukkha, suffering. And then all dharmas are dependent or empty yourself. 就是观法无我, right? Okay, all right? And then the fourth one, 观身不净. That means the body is impure. Okay, all right. So that's the surface meaning. That's the basic meaning. So that's the three Dharma seals in there. You know that, right? Right? The first one, the second one, and the third one. They're the three Dharma seals. Make sense? I mean, you should know that, right? You should know that, right? Anicca, anatta, dukkha. Okay? The three Dharma seals. Okay? Basically, the three Dharma seals are the marks of existence. You know that? That's three marks of existence. Okay? Of being, of having a form. Okay? So that's what the three. So on the surface meaning, that's what this means. Make sense? Make sense? I mean, we all understand, right? We kind of understand that. Yeah, it's pretty basic. So let me ask you, why would Buddha just say to Ananda, right? Reply to Ananda, oh, these are the four things that you should bear in mind constantly. Basically, that's what I mean, the four teachings. To most of us, if we're just reading at a superficial level, it's no big deal. Oh, that's it? No big deal. What about your compassion? What about all that stuff? Oh, wow. Can you guys glean it from there? Can we glean it from there? From these four things? Oh, see, that's the difference between superficial, basic level of understanding Buddha's teaching, Buddha's words, and the higher level. Make sense? And what's the higher level? That's what we have. We have this class. We call it Buddha nature. Okay? All right. What's the higher level? Because of time, I'm going to talk about. Okay, let's read the Chinese. It's 观身性相如如虚空. That means what? That has to do with the number 4. I'm going in reverse, but the body is impure, right? We said the body is impure, right? That's the superficial. What at the higher level, what Buddha is telling Ananda, all forms, including the body, is what? Empty. That's Heart Sutra. That's the Heart Sutra right there. Isn't the Heart Sutra right there? Bala. That's the Heart Sutra. That's the essence of Heart Sutra. Make sense? Woo. So the Heart Sutra is already incorporated in here. Make sense? In that phrase. At the higher level. Okay? So, okay. Number 2. Let's see. I'm going to go to the second one. All sensations. Okay? It's 观受不在内外不足中间无受虚 Woo. Anybody know what that means? 无受跟无虚 Woo. So 不是有受也没有空没空也没有 Okay, so that's 受跟虚 You understand? 受 means you could sense, right? You could sense something. 虚 means empty. Okay, 虚 means empty. Okay, so in Chinese, in English, what does that mean? That means what? Remember, the surface meaning just says all sensations, all feelings. It's all external. Has to do with forms. What Buddha is saying is this: there is no inner and no outer. Very interesting. That we also have to be 不住中间. We have to constantly, that means always, abide in the center. Or what? The middle path. Hello, the middle path. Or our true heart. You can say that, true heart. 常住真心. That's the Surangama Sutra. That's the Diamond Sutra. It's all in there. Boom. Make sense? And the Eightfold Path. Okay? So that's the higher level. That's what it means that we have to follow that middle path or Madhyamika. Okay? It's so 无受, no sensation and no emptiness. Wow, what is that? That's what? Nirvana. 究竟. That's called 究竟. Okay? So anyway, or that's what we call non-attached, non-dualistic, right? Non-attached, non-dualistic, unperturbed, right? Unperturbed center or our true self. Okay? That's what that second one means. Make sense? Make sense? Good, huh? Good stuff, huh? Okay. Number 3. What was the third one? Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. Third one. No, the first one. Let's go to the first one. The mind as impermanent, right? So what is this? 观心但有明字，明字性离，无心的心。What's 无心的心? Wow, that's the heart of no heart. That's literally what it means. So the mind of no mind. Ooh, what is that? Okay, what does that mean? Okay, it just means that he is talking that. Remember I said at the very beginning, what is the mind that does have no beginning, no end? Make sense? That's our Buddha nature. Hello. That's it. That's what he's talking about. That we have an essence that's eternal, that has no beginning, no end. So it's not our thoughts, or not our consciousness, or not our egos. Make sense? So he's talking about, so on the surface meaning, we're saying, yeah, the mind is impermanent. Okay, that's true. But he's also saying, oh, but we have something that is permanent, something that is everlasting, something that has no beginning, no end. Make sense? That's our Buddha nature. Hello, right? Make sense? Good stuff, huh? So it's 无心的心. So the heart or the mind of no mind. That's our Buddha nature. Okay? Because it has what? It doesn't have no beginning, no end. Okay? Now let's go to the last one. I'm sorry. Let's go to which is all dharmas are dependent into yourself. 就是观法不得善法，不得不善法，无法。Ooh, what does that mean? I said that in Chinese. You should know what. It just means that we should be mindful that there is no what? No 善法 means good dharma. We can say good dharma or no, not good dharma. So non-dharma. What is the non-dharma? What is the non-dharma? Non-teaching. Non-teaching, in other words. That's a supreme teaching. Huh? Yeah, the heart. Yeah. The heart-to-heart. The wordless teaching. Wordless teaching. You can say heart-to-heart. The first treasure. Example, right? First treasure. Okay? First treasure. And also it's mentioned in the Diamond Sutra, by the way. Hello. I left out Diamond Sutra, right? Whoa. Where's Diamond Sutra? It's found in there. It's Diamond Sutra, chapter 6. 正信稀有. Also chapter 22. 无法可得. Okay? It's 四古不应取法，不应取非法. Make sense? Hello? So that means that what? There is no dharma to receive or to grasp. and also no non-dharma. Get it? That's a little translation of the Diamond Sutra. You can look it up. We can look it up. It's chapter 6 and chapter 22. Okay? We can look it up. All right? So that's in there. The Diamond Sutra is right in there. So that's the fourth. Make sense? So that's what Buddha meant when he talked about we should bear in mind these four mindfulness, or that's his teaching. Because if we understood at this level, the highest level of what Buddha meant, then that encompasses essentially all of Buddha's teachings. Make sense? The middle path, the Buddha nature, right? Everything's empty, right? And that there is no dharma. No dharma and no non-dharma, right? That's what? That's 究竟, or that's what we call absolute realm, the absolute realm. Make sense? So that's what Buddha meant when he said you should bear in mind those four. So it's a different level, right? Wow, so one on the surface mean and the other one is more advanced, right? Make sense? So now we learned something? Okay, there's more, but for now that's sufficient. Thank you very much.